Do you ever have intentions of prepping for the week and then you realize it takes a little long, and then throughout the week you're like, okay, was it really worth spending that much time at the beginning of the week to get ready for the rest of the week? I get that. So today I'm going to be showing you 5 tips to save time in the kitchen, and they don't take any time at all. First up is none other than overnight oats. Now, I know what you're thinking. Everybody does overnight oats, but I do mine a little bit differently. So stick with me. I start with steel cut oats. So much better than the rolled old-fashioned oats, whatever they're called. This will give them so much more of a texture, and it's not mushy. It's just awesome. Next, I'm going to add some cinnamon. You can add as little or as a lot as you want. I ended up doing a full teaspoon of cinnamon. Could have done more, honestly. I did a couple of teaspoons of maple syrup. Again, you can add as much or as little as you'd like. It gives it a really good kind of maple flavor, but also some sweetness. This is the only sweetening that's going in, except for some fruit. Add in a little bit of salt because that's going to bring out all the flavors. And I added 4 tablespoons of peanut butter here. Now this is going to make 4 servings total, so it's 1 tablespoon of peanut butter per serving. So I don't know why I didn't think to just do a 1/4 cup here, but I didn't. So here you are, getting your peanut butter with each tablespoon. But also check out my cute little spatula. How adorable is that? I think I got it at Big Lots one year or I think it goes around the holidays, and it's just come in handy so much. I bought it because it was cute, and then I use it literally all the time for stuff like this and then getting things out of jars. Almond milk is what I add to it. You can use any milk you'd like. This is going to take a total of 3.5 cups, so I'm doing 1 3/4 cups on each one. I will say this can be really tough to mix, so I do recommend mixing or stirring before you add that second portion of milk, and that'll kind of get it well combined before you add in all the milk, if that makes sense. So as you can see here, it's really hard to stir in that peanut butter and everything. So I ended up getting a whisk and scraping that off and whisking away. So this is going to be a base steel cut oat. You can add whatever you want to it on top. I'll show you what I add to mine on top, something that I've been kind of on a kick, but you can do whatever flavors you want. Once that's all mixed, go ahead and microwave that for about 3 minutes, maybe 3.5, whatever makes sense for you, and then cut up your fruit. I have been on this apple kick for quite some time. It's more of like a cinnamon apple. It's almost like a baked apple in your oatmeal, and it's awesome. Whether you eat your oats cold or heat it up, these are amazing. So I went ahead and chopped those up. Sometimes I do smaller chunks. This time I did a little bit thicker. Add it to a bowl, and I add cinnamon again. I absolutely love cinnamon, and I usually just ballpark it. So I'm going to be adding the cinnamon here, and then on top of that, in order for it to stick to the apples, I add just a little bit of salt and water. Well, the salt doesn't help it stick to the apples, but salt's going to bring out that sweetness. Add some water and get it all nice and covered. Make sure each piece has some cinnamon on it. And then once your oats are done in the microwave, switch that out and throw these apples in there for about a minute, 1.5 minutes, depends on how done you want them. I like them to still have a little bit of crunch, so I put them in for a minute, and they had the perfect consistency. Go ahead and mix up your oats again. This is going to be where we put them in the bowls. So like I said, this makes 4 serving sizes, and it's going to really fill you up in the morning. And keep in mind, like I said, this is a base recipe. So you can add other things like protein powder or whatever toppings that you want. This is just a very simple recipe that is really good to start with. So I'm a little OCD with how much I put in each bowl. I want them all to be pretty much exactly even. And then once your apples are done, this is what, like I said, was kind of a kick that I've been on recently. Go ahead and mix them up, and it's gonna create this juice at the bottom
that goes really well on top too. So again, a little OCD with how much I put in each bowl. I want it to be as precise and exact as possible because I want to have good meals every single time. So here I am sticking them in each bowl, and then I'm going to just top it off with that cinnamon apple juice, whatever's left in there. So the more water that you use, the more that juice you'll get, or the longer that you put it in the microwave, the more juice you'll get from the apples that kind of come out. So it is delish. Once you've emptied out your bowl, give your apples and that sweet sauce a little bit of a stir. And if my bowls look a little bit different here, that is because I put them in the fridge and then quickly realized I did not add my chia seeds. So I actually normally add my chia seeds when I am putting my oats together and put them in the microwave as well. I did not this day, but it really doesn't matter. You can certainly add them afterwards since they're all going into the fridge overnight and they'll get gelatinous there. So I add a full tablespoon to my serving of 4 here and just mix them up for each one. Make sure that they're well mixed so that way the chia seeds don't clump up. A little clump of chia seeds is not always the most pleasant thing, at least in my opinion. Sometimes it doesn't bother people, but once you mix them up, they're gonna get all married with the oats and they're gonna be fantastic overnight. So I went ahead and covered them up here. Really, I recovered them because they were already in the fridge at this point. And then I went ahead and stuck them in the fridge. And there you have breakfast for the week. Next, we're going to be making bread. Now, if you are a beginner cook, do not freak out. This is the easiest recipe for bread ever. I promised you that I would give you some recipes and tricks to save time in the kitchen, and this takes less than 5 minutes to put together. So you're gonna start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Then you're going to go in with some salt. You're gonna go in with a full teaspoon of salt for that. So this is my half teaspoon. I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 of those. And then you want half a teaspoon of yeast, not the instant yeast, just regular yeast. To that, you wanna add warm water. This is going to be 1.5 cups of warm water, not hot, warm. So that's the only thing that I want to be clear about because the yeast can be a little finicky. But as long as you have some warm water and these other 3 ingredients, you're golden. Go ahead and mix that up, and you're going to be thinking, this doesn't look right. Why is this not super sticky, or why is it not coming together? I promise you it's going to look weird and you just have to trust the process. So give it a good stir until everything is combined. Yes, you will get batter stuck to your spoon, and that is okay. Just use a rubber spatula to kind of scrape it off. It will all be fine. I promise it's totally normal. Once you get that together, go ahead and cover it with a clean dishcloth. Wait for 12 to 24 hours, and this is what it looks like. I like to wait at least 18 hours in between, and then when it's ready, go ahead and preheat your oven to 450 while your pan is in there. You can use a roast pan, you can use a Dutch oven, whatever makes sense for you. While that is preheating, go ahead and get some parchment paper and throw down some all-purpose flour and dump your batter onto it. Your batter has to sit on the counter for 30 minutes. So depending on how long your oven takes to preheat, this is a great time to do it now or within the next few minutes. So the flour will make sense in just a minute. As you can see, the dough is extremely sticky. So it's gonna take a minute to get it all out of the bowl. And what I like to do is I like to get a little bit of flour on my hands as well. And then you're going to flip the batter onto itself. So that way we can flip it over. So kind of take it from the ends and fold it onto itself just like that. And then sometimes you kind of have to give it a little twist so that way it kind of unsticks itself from the bottom. Give it a little spank and let it sit. After 30 minutes, go ahead and take a sharp knife and slice it through the middle. You can also do an X, whatever suits your fancy. Go ahead and put that parchment paper into your pan and cover it up with a lid or some kind of cover and bake it for 30 minutes. Once that 30 minutes is up, go ahead and remove your lid and bake it for another 15 minutes. Your house is going to smell so good at this point, and everyone's going to be asking, what are you baking? And you can tell them, artisan bread. Look at this thing. How beautiful is this little loaf for you and your family? Go ahead and take that parchment paper out onto a surface. I like to put it on top of a cooling rack or some kind of stove grates until it's cooled. Next, we're going to be making salad. So of course, a lot of people are thinking, oh my God, I hate salad. But this is going to be a base salad where you can make it your own. So I go ahead and cut up my little salad heads and I cut them into fourths and then chop them down the middle. I like to use a variety of lettuce heads. This is a variety I got from the grocery store, but sometimes I'll also just do romaine, whatever is available at the grocery store and whatever looks good in the produce section. So I can put this in my salad spinner. Of course, you can just use a regular colander in a bowl. I like to let it sit in some water so that way it has whatever dirt is left on it float away. And I also add a little bit of baking soda. That helps your produce get rid of any kind of little critters or dirt, whatever the case may be. So, fun fact of your day. So here I am cutting up the rest of my little salad heads. This actually made quite a bit of salad. There's only 2 of us in the household, so this was pretty much us eating salad all week. I could have gotten away with just keeping 2 of these salad heads whole and leaving that to cut up the next week or later in the week, but I went ahead and did all of them. So I went ahead and added my water to my salad spinner so that way it could soak in there for a little bit, added my baking soda and just kind of tossed it around a little bit to make sure it all got incorporated, and set that aside. So make sure you wait a few minutes for that. And next I'm going to be adding in a couple more ingredients to my base salad. First, I'll add in some carrots. So peeled some carrots here. Make sure you do not throw away your peels because I have a plan for those. Not necessarily in this recipe, but for the future. So stay tuned. Peeled these and saved the peels as well as the stems. So you're going to be seeing me put these peels in a bag of frozen peels. So what this is a broth mix. We are going to be making fresh broth. In this bag, I have a little bit of everything. I have ends of onions, I have celery ends, I have ends of carrots like this. Whatever I have, I want to try and repurpose it if I can. So I keep it in a freezer bag and keep it in the freezer until I am ready to make some broth. Typically, I'll put it in with some chicken bones to make chicken broth, or sometimes you can just make straight veggie broth. So anyway, here we are shredding up these carrots, and of course those ends are also going to go in our broth mix. Waste not, want not, people. Go ahead and save whatever you can to repurpose it. What I did is I went ahead and shredded these carrots directly into the container that I'm going to be using because shredded carrot gets absolutely everywhere. So this made sense, and I actually have it going on top of a paper towel so that way some of that moisture can be drawn out. You don't want it to be super watery, especially when you are saving your lettuce or I guess your salad for several days in a row. So I also adore bell pepper. I love it in all my salads. So I went ahead, chopped up some bell pepper into kind of like matchsticks and then cut it across to make some chopped pieces and threw them into my salad bowl here, or I guess my salad mix. I do save a few on the side for a very special purpose. So you'll see that in just a second. I went ahead and saved these bell peppers. And another person that is obsessed with bell peppers is my dog. This is Bella. She is obsessed with bell peppers. She knows the sound of it when I am cutting them up, so she can come over, steal one, and run away with it so that way she can enjoy it in peace. Next up, I spun my lettuce and drained it and added it to my container that I'll be saving my lettuce in. So you can certainly do it this way and shake it up in the container. I had a ton of lettuce this day, so I set some aside to make myself a little salad while I was filming this, and shook it up in the container. It probably would have been smarter to just toss it in the bowl itself. To the top of this, I add a paper towel to help with moisture throughout the week and keep everything fresh. Next hack we're going to talk about is just so incredibly simple and kind of common sense, but it's just doubling your ingredients. So here I am making rice. We eat a ton of rice in our household, so the chances of us having to cook rice twice in 1 week is pretty high. So I won't go ahead and make it ahead of time, so that way I can have some for the next day, maybe for some lunch with some fried rice in a pan with a fried egg on top. So good. So here I am making double the amount of rice for the week, so that way I can save more time in the kitchen and worry about other things in life. My last tip to save time in the kitchen is to grind your coffee beans a couple days ahead of time. If you like fresh ground coffee, I suggest doing this a couple days ahead of time, so that way it's still fresh, but you're not doing it the morning of.
Well, folks, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed our 5 tips of saving time in the kitchen, and hope that you consider subscribing to my channel for future tips, future cooking tricks, and we'll see what else. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.